Hello guys and welcome to a new episode of the Football plus F1 Show. And today we're going to talk about the international break, what happened, some of the news that happened in football, and also we're going to talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. Obviously I should have done a video on Sunday or Monday because there was obviously the race to be for the Japanese Grand Prix, but because I was kind of busy in my work, etc. That's why it took a long time, and obviously there were some things that I had to talk about, obviously, during this, international break. But let's get started. Let's start with the football first. Tottenham made another managerial change as Igor Tudor left the club with immediate effect. Roberto De Zerbi taking over from him on a 5-year deal. First, let's react to Igor Tudor leaving Tottenham. I mean, it's the right decision because, obviously, firstly, I hope he is personally okay, his family and his friends are okay, because obviously, he's had to deal with, especially after the Nottingham Forest game where the news broke that his father passed away. Um, but it's kind of the right decision because obviously he's facing he's in a difficult place mentally, and obviously it's not been a good, run of results for him at Tottenham, except that draw against Liverpool and let's say an old win against Atletico Madrid, even though it didn't mean much because they got knocked out. There've not been signs where you say, oh, they're looking good under Igor Tudor. Every game they've been conceding a lot of goals, being slapped to faces. Um, Nottingham Forest, you can't lose to Nottingham Forest. We're fighting relegation against 3-0 at home. So, those like this, losing 4-1 at home to your biggest rivals, to your city rivals, Arsenal. So, that was an embarrassment. So, Tottenham have been, obviously very difficult place this season, and as they were under Igor Tudor. And for them to go into Roberto De Zerbi at this stage of the season when they're trying to stay up. I mean, Roberto De Zerbi is a very good coach. He's a guy that he'll make his teams play good football, and I think he's a good manager for Tottenham in long term. But is he really what Tottenham needs right now? Because they want to stay up. Because he's gonna obviously implement his ideas. He's gonna try to implement his ideas and the Tottenham players will take time to adapt to it and take time to adjust to the way Roberto De Zerbi wants his teams to play. So he's a very good manager in long term, but he can be a good manager, sorry, for Tottenham in long term. Even though, if you look at his clubs, his previous clubs in record, he hasn't stayed. He's not a long term manager. If you look at the number of months and years with the clubs he stayed, I think the best one was at Shakhtar Donetsk, or where he stayed 3 years or something like that, or Sassuolo, one of them. Other than that, he's like he's always stayed, like he's always left after 1 year or 1 year and a half at Brighton, Marseille, etc. So, but at the same time, he's a very good manager, and I think he can get Tottenham, being a good team in the future. But is Roberto De Zerbi really needed at Tottenham, especially where they are right now? I don't know. I'm not sure because obviously, like I said, De Zerbi will implement his ideas, and Tottenham players will take time. And what Tottenham plays right now in this relegation dogfight is not philosophy, it's not tactics, it's not strategy or whatever. It's fight, determination, spirit, togetherness. Never die attitude. That's what they need, these Tottenham players, because they've got absolutely none of it. They don't have determination, fight, passion. They don't have it. So if Roberto Zerbi can acknowledge it, and can acknowledge actually it's not all about the tactics for the remainder of the season, and it's about getting Tottenham staying up, then it can happen. It can get Tottenham working again. And of course, he's a very passionate manager, so he can get his teams, fired up and being very motivated. So he's can be a fiery character in a good way, but he can be a fiery character in a bad way, because obviously from what I heard from the Marseille fans or a French journalist who was covering Marseille, he was saying that that Roberto De Zerbi argues a lot with the press, and sometimes obviously if you want to be successful, you need to be good with the press, you need to do well in press conferences, etc., etc. Listen, I don't think arguing with the press all the time is the biggest issue. In my opinion, he if he can get, obviously he's a fire character, of course, because like there are managers that are very good managers and don't have that fiery character, and there are managers who have that fiery character and then aren't that great. De Zerbi is a fantastic coach. As a manager, I haven't seen much to say. Oh, he's a top class manager. He's a top class coach, you could say, but as a manager, we have to wait and see. He has improved that. He's been an amazing manager in the past, but he's a very good coach. So, but let's see. Like I said, he's a fiery character, and he will get teams motivated, and he will do some. He will cause some strange things to happen with his fiery character. So, will he get Tottenham staying up this season? It's difficult to say, but if in the first game there is five, I think it all depends what happens in the first game for Tottenham under Roberto De Zerbi against Sunderland. If Tottenham can play with that fight, passion, desire, energy, and they look like a team that is, playing for a new manager bounce, as people like to say, and etc. They're motivated, and they are, they're not going to accept being relegated. And Roberto Zerbi clearly has done something to them, in terms of helping them mentally and physically. And there's no reason they can't stay up. But if in the first game they look way off it, they don't look like a team that is, there's still the same problems under Tudor and Frank, no fight, no passion, etc. Then it could be a long way to the end of the season. And long is 2 months, and we're 2 months away from the end of the season. So that's how crazy of a situation it is for Tottenham. That even 2 months is very long for them to till the end of the season, because they are in this fight for relegation. So he can get them staying up, but it all depends whether he focuses on the tactics and the strategy, as I mentioned, or about getting the team being being that good, connected well, and fighting and good spirit. Let's move on to Italy. Italy are, for the third consecutive time, they're not gonna qualify for the World Cup 2026 this time, and they deserve to be. I know people say, but the red card of Bastoni, caused this situation. I mean, when you're down to 10 men, you're supposed to be more harder to break down, because you put everyone behind the ball. Isn't that the point? That with 10 men you become more harder to break down? And Italy with none of it. Yeah, they went 1-0 up and they started the game well, but as soon as they got that red card, they absolutely crumbled. Yeah, okay, you got a red card. Okay, come on, you have to do it. Come on, isn't that the point? Sometimes you have to, when you have to win, you have to suffer. There were some difficult moments. You have to deal with it well, and Italy didn't deal with it well at all. They got dominated by Bosnia. Bosnia, I mean, credit to them, they played really well. They played their football and they were fantastic, and they could have scored easily more. Created lots of chances. I think they had something like 30 shots. So they were fantastic, and Bosnia, congratulations, they qualified to the World Cup for the first time since 2014, where I think they played against Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, congratulations to to Bosnia. A great moment for the country and for their fans. For them to qualify for the World Cup, it's an incredible achievement for a country like Bosnia. So well done, and they must have enjoyed it. That's for sure, and they deserve to go through because they were fantastic in this game. They were fantastic. They got the game plan right, and they maximized everything that they had to do against Italy to win. And they saw that Italy were under pressure, especially not qualifying for the World Cup for the last two times, and danger of not qualifying for the third time. So they saw the pressure and they capitalized on it. So you have to give credit to Bosnia. As for Italy, I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, in the back in the days, when you look at the countries who were the benchmark, who were the best of the best, Brazil, Germany, Italy. Brazil, of course. I mean, the most World Cups, right? Players like Ronaldo, Romario, Ronaldinho, Cafu, Kaká, Germany. Was Germany back then with Franz Beckenbauer and how great Lothar Matthäus, great players, Gerd Müller, and even the last 10-15 years, Thomas Müller with Klose, with Mesut Özil, Andre Schürrle, who was absolutely instrumental to World Cup success in 2014 for Germany. Top quality, leaders like Neuer, Boateng, Hummels, great team. Schweinsteiger, great team. Italy, same thing. Great team in the past. Players like Roberto Baggio, who carried them to the World Cup final in 1994. 26 World Cup, Cannavaro, Materazzi, when he got Zidane sent off. Buffon, Chiellini, Bonucci, quality players. Andre Pirlo, quality Del Piero, quality players. Won the World Cup 2006 and go to the World Cup final in 1994. Fantastic team, 4 World Cups. And you look at those nations now. Brazil, not the same team as before, and they haven't won a World Cup since 2002. Germany, after the World Cup success in 2014, they've fallen off a cliff after that. But none of them have fallen off as low as Italy were. 3 consecutive World Cups in a row without qualifying it, without playing it. It's embarrassing for a country like Italy, for the standards they've set for years, them winning World Cups and Euros. And let's not forget, though, in those between 12 years they haven't qualified for the World Cup. They won the Euros in 20 or 21 with Mancini and great players like Immobile, Jorginho, Bonucci, Chiellini, Donnarumma. And yes, you look at like this season, they got slapped in the face by Norway, and they got again slapped in the face by Bosnia. They should beat Bosnia. Come on. Norway I can understand because they've got quality players, and in my opinion they're a better team than Italy, if I'm being very honest. 2022, where they lost to Switzerland in the first place. Switzerland a good team back then, so it can happen. But losing to Macedonia at home, come on. 2018, where they finished second to Spain. Okay, that's okay. But you cannot win against Sweden over 2 legs. What is this? So I understand them not qualifying not finishing first in the qualifiers, but at the same time, you can't beat Macedonia, Bosnia, and Sweden. Come on. It's unacceptable for a country like Italy to miss 3 consecutive World Cups. Unacceptable. And obviously, you see like Gattuso resigning, Buffon resigning, the leader of the Federation of Italy resigning. They need a reset. Italy need a reset. They need a revolution. They need to change everything again and go back to base and start from scratch, because those 12 years they've been doing, it's not clearly it's not working. You can't tell me it's working when you're not qualified for the 3 consecutive World Cups. But Italy, like, my God, I mean, they've absolutely fallen off a cliff. You look at their players. I mean, except Donnarumma, the goalkeeper. How many of their players you would say, oh, they're world class? None of them, except Donnarumma, and he's the goalkeeper. Absolutely embarrassing. And Gattuso obviously was, you know, complaining about Africa should be having fewer places. Well, he should focus on his team and himself for this embarrassment. So, yeah, commiserations to Italy, and it's sad to see how bad they've fallen off. Let's move on to Formula 1.